few more. What is the one thing you most want people to remember about you?
Well, that when you get old, you start losing your memory, and you lose all of the thoughts you ever had. You won't remember all of the bad things I've done.
But what's one thing you would want people to remember?
Oh, that I love my family and I love the Lord. I love the Lord Jesus, our Father in heaven. And to me, that has been the most important part of my life. I wasn't a member of the church when Denise and I got married, and she wasn't active, so we didn't go to church. And when I was 32 years old before I joined the church, but 10 years before that, I was 20 years old at the time, and I was a foreman in a welding shop. And the World War II was on, and I, of course, had been married, and we had children, had one child. Our first child had died, but our second child was our daughter Renee. It's here. And I didn't want to get drafted because she had injured her hand. She had caught her hand in the washing machine wringer of an old Maytag washer, and it ground all of the flesh out of her hand. And we tried to get it fixed in Salt Lake, and there wasn't anybody there that could do it. So we sold our house and moved to California, to near Hollywood, where we could get one of those plastic surgeons that did all those their fancy jobs in California. And we did. And she was 17 years old. She's 15 years old when she injured her hand, and she was 17 years old when the last operation was performed on her. So it took almost about 14 years to get her hand back, but she didn't get her whole hand back. While she, what they did in Salt Lake, they taped it down onto a board, her hand down on the board. And we had to take it off every day and clean all of the dead flesh away, clean it up with something that was pure, and put her hand back on the board. But while we was there, her father came over and visited us. Her mother and father was divorced, but he came over to our house. But he had just been in a house where they'd had some disease. Let's see, I can't remember what it was now. It was some kind of a fever. But she came down with this. So she was quite sick, and they quarantined us at that time. Quarantine means when somebody in the house gets sick with the disease that will affect other people, they quarantine you or put you out of the house. You have to live someplace else until they get well. And so I was quarantined out of the house, and Bernice couldn't take care of her hand alone, and it started to shrivel up. So it shriveled up just like a claw. And they tried to straighten it out. They couldn't do it, and that's why we went to California. Went to California, we got a doctor there that they could. And what they did was plastic surgery. They put her hand onto her stomach. They cut a place where the skin was away, and sewed her hand right to her stomach, and she stayed there till it grew there. And then when it grew there, they took it off, cut the skin that had grown on it, so that she had skin on the inside of her hand. hand. But the bad part about it was, and this was done in Salt Lake, and they didn't know what they were doing, because they should never put it on her stomach, because that's where all the fat is. And when that there grew on her hand, there's just a bunch of fat on there. And so we decided to take her to California, and so we did. And they took it down there, and they were the ones that finished the job down there. And I don't know where I'm going with this. But anyway, she has never complained about any of her problems. She's been in a wheelchair for about 50 years now, 40 or 50 years, and she'll never complain about anything that's wrong with her. And she's very, very well groomed in the gospel, and she works in genealogy. She teaches people genealogy. She does a great job of it. Any more questions?